There was plenty of takeover action on the markets. You heard about this, Origin Energy, Liontown, United Malt. So what's prompting this activity in what is clearly otherwise a very uncertain stock market? Adam Dawes is a senior investment advisor at Shore & Partners and joins me now. Adam, thank you for that. Right, There's the question. What is prompting, because it's not the only thing, it's three today.
Yeah.
And they've been going on for months anyway,
Absolutely.
But there's a whole bunch more.
So in the large cap space, we've got Newcrest, we've got Oz Minerals. They're being taken over by very large companies as well. You've got InvoCare, which is a funeral home, Estia, which is a retirement village or retirement home, some golds. There's going to be no good stocks left on our market anymore.
Okay, so let's go, because you saw the share price reaction to Liontown with lithium. So this is an interesting play. Tim Goyder, the reports today say, becomes a billionaire.
Yeah.
He's also the cousin of Richard Goyder, that people might otherwise know as the former boss of Wesfarmers.
Yes.
But in this particular case, he's been hunting around this sector for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And this bid and this deposit, everything that he's got suddenly comes through.
But this isn't the first time that Albemarle has come through.
Yes.
They've had bids at 220, 230, now 250, and you saw the closing price at 257. That means the market potentially believes, because the bid's at 250, that means the market believes there might be a higher bid potentially coming through.
So Albemarle is the largest processor of lithium in the world. So you might sit there and say, well, it's buying it to get the lithium reserves. They've got new mines coming on in the second half of this year. Yeah. That's why you might think, but it's not the real reason, is it?
Well, the real reason is that they've got offtake agreements with Tesla, Ford, a large LG Energy, and a large energy company. They're all, most of that product that they're going to dig out of the ground is already sold to somebody else. So it's a lay down that these guys would come in and take over one of our excellent lithium products.
Okay, then you've got United Malt, which was actually spun off out of GrainCorp, which looked like it was not much of a company when it got spun out. But suddenly it's sprung to life, it's found a buyer.
Well, there is a buyer for it. I mean, they are talking about craft beer making a resurgence, but, you know, that's a long bow to draw. I think it just really reiterates that Australian companies are well looked at overseas. They're well regarded. They're very good assets. And we can see one with the Aussie dollar where it is, it makes sense for some of these large pension funds, superannuation funds to come in and take over these assets.
You raise a very good point, because let's say, for example, if Newcrest goes, Australia's largest gold miner, listed gold miner, bought by Newmont. InvoCare, Australia's largest provider of funeral services.
Yes.
The malting company, United Malt.
Yes.
Liontown, one of our largest lithium producers. I mean, these are all investments that investors don't get access to in the future.
That's right. And so then we have to go further down or higher up the risk curve to get access to some of these smaller companies, which basically means you got higher risk and potentially you could lose money as well. So we always prefer to be in the large cap space, but obviously everybody else wants to be there as well.
Okay, so then you've got private equity firms coming in and making plays for some of these businesses. Yeah. You've got other strategic reasons why companies are taking it, such as Albemarle coming in for Liontown, or Brookfield coming in for Origin Energy. But then you've even got Australia's own super funds, many of whom are taking their investments back in-house.
Yes.
They used to have them managed externally, and also that they're now more willing to make takeovers of Australian companies themselves.
Well, they have to. They can't play in our Australian market. It's too small. For the trillions of dollars that they manage, or the billions of dollars that they manage, they can't play in our space anymore. One, they have to go overseas to get alpha, to get returns, or they have to take over really good infrastructure businesses. So infrastructure-wise, we've really got Transurban, APA Group,
APA Group that got knocked back by the Treasurer for a takeover from a Hong Kong-based company.
Yes.
So some of these are strategically important companies as well. But you're right, there's not very many of scale that are left sitting out there as well.
Yeah.
Second thing is also the Australian dollar, because it clearly plays a part in the attractiveness of these companies with good assets to be taken off the market.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've seen weakness in the Aussie dollar of late, or it's just moving sideways. There is talk that the US dollar is going to come under further weakness as well. So they're really sort of getting in, because if the Aussie dollar does start to rise, that definitely changes the investing landscape going forward. So,
all right, so you're sitting there and chatting to investors now, and so all of a sudden they accept the takeover for Liontown or United Malt, whatever it might be. They've got a whole bunch of cash.
Yeah.
They're now looking back at the market saying, well, okay, where are we going to put it, Adam? And what do you say?
Well, it's really tough at the moment. Obviously, with the banking crisis, you always want to potentially look at some of the banks, but they've underperformed really as well going forward. I think, obviously risk profile, but certainly we're looking at other infrastructure plays, because that is one of the things that I think the world really loves, our infrastructure. And so we've been looking at some other infrastructure plays, plus it feeds into that defensiveness of if this market or the US does go into recession, we need to be a little bit defensive. So infrastructure is where we're definitely looking to put some more money.
Okay, so then what you're saying to me is that these takeovers are not yet over. So what are the characteristics, if I'm looking for the next takeover play, what am I looking for?
Well, generally it's a company that's underperformed. So sometimes you just don't want to be there. But generally characteristics are that they've got offtake agreements or good customers. The product is 3/4 of the way done, or it's nearly to be ready to go to market. And then from there, it's just about the sector. So lithium is obviously very hot at the moment. We saw some selling off, and that obviously provided the opportunity for opportunistic bid to come in for Liontown. But yeah, always looking for quality businesses that are underpriced or looking cheap. That's where you're going to get your next takeover target.
I'll tell you, it's going to be fascinating because there's going to be a lot more of this coming out. But as we're sitting here right now, there's almost 10 of them on the plate ready to go right now. Adam Dawes, always good to get you on the program from Shaw and Partners. Adam Dawes, many thanks for your time.
Thank you.